This one that has to do with society and how they like to push you down. They don't want to see you rise. That's why only the strong ones can make it to the top, because they won't let the people around them dictate through shaming tactics to hold them back. So I want to talk about MK Ultra, and it's so much more like, you think MK Ultra only applies to like Hollywood people or the people that they like to try and control and whatever. It's not the case. In fact, if anything, they stopped MK Ultra research because they got to a high point. They learned all they needed to learn. That was it. So what it is what they discovered was, with these MK Ultra experiments that they did to try to learn how to control people's minds, or how people's minds work and how they can better control them. And what they did was they would take willing participants. So these people signed up for it and knew it was an experiment. They would sit them there with headphones, and they would play a loop of some sort of phrase, something, maybe 125,000 times, maybe 250,000, or even like 500,000 times. And once they would take the headphones off, those people would be lost in that loop forever of that phrase, from beginning to end, just that phrase, and that would be the only thing they knew. Their eyes, it's like they had no soul. In their eyes, if you saw, like, they had no soul. There was nothing there. It's like they weren't present. It's like they didn't exist. It was just like a body with no spirit inside of it, no consciousness, no human inside. So now there's more subtle ways that they apply these things in society. They don't necessarily, right, like, play some sort of phrase for you 500,000 times over and over in a headphone to get you to, to think that way, right? No, they don't do that. What they do is they implement all these things, how they want you to think and stuff, through all of the things they control. So, like, if you're seeing commercials, most of the commercials, there's reasons why they do it certain ways. Most of the movies or shows that you watch, TV shows, most of it, there are like secret aspects behind them trying to manipulate you. Maybe in one certain show they repeat a certain line a certain number of times, and then maybe if you go to, like, maybe, I don't know, I'm just making crap up, but like maybe if you go watch sports, you go to your team's stadium, and they'll find a way to repeat that kind of ideology in all aspects of just whatever you're doing. You go to the gas station and it's like it's there. It's in the schools. It's in every aspect you can think of. They use these little things. They don't. Over time, you'll see something enough and you'll adapt it. You think that is what the truth, or that's the way you should think, or that's the mentality to have, or that's the truth, or that's the norm. And it's not. That's why so many people are caught in loops. They don't even, again, just like the MK Ultra thing, these people couldn't get out of the loop. They were stuck in the loop. That's why they weren't present, because the thing is, they were unaware of the own loop that they were in. But the people outside were not unaware. They were aware. And so that's what they do. That's why so many people are like zombies. That's why there's so many people not woken up. Because it's like, even if you try to get them out of that loop, they're just totally lost. It's even worse. Like, at least the MK Ultra and the experiments that they did, at least those people knew what happened. I sat there for this many hours listening to this phrase straight, or this many days in a row. I knew what happened. But they implement it in a way that people don't even realize it's happening. That's why, for example, maybe there's like a comedian and he says some stuff that the elites don't like. And so they have to figure out a way to, like, go against that and weaken those people's voices. So what do they do? They use their zombies. They're like their soldiers, the little pawns. And they'll, make some other video, or they'll do something so that way it'll make all these people mad, like, oh, he shouldn't have said that, or he shouldn't have said it like that. It was wrong. It's wrong. When it's actually not. They do these things on purpose. So there's a lot of things that we have wrong just in our day-to-day lives. Like, people don't look each other in the eyes anymore. People don't say hi to each other anymore. You think that these things just happened? Most things that we live with today didn't just happen. They like to present to us like we have freedom. But just like Kanye West said, 400 years of enslavement. What he means is, just because they ended black slavery doesn't mean that they ended slavery. It's even worse now, because it's mental slavery without the participant even knowing. And the problem is, the way that they've created it, they made it so that if you try to open up a person about their own paradigm, own paradigm shifts that are wrong, their loops that they're stuck in, and you try to make them aware of it, they have brainwashed these people into getting defensive about these things. So if you try to present somebody with the truth about their own faults, about some things, they've been trained to get defensive. And it kind of just works for the system, for the elites. What they have is they're trying to get people to fight each other now. They're trying to get people to split up against each other by this way. It's like you could start. That's why people don't want to say anything in America. I mean, really, freedom? We live in a country that people are like deathly afraid of saying what they really want to say. For one reason or another. If it's because they don't want to get shamed. You know what I'm saying? It's like people get their careers ruined, their livelihoods ruined, because of something that they said that isn't necessarily something that deserves that. But they want to make an example out of these people, so they create things artificially. They make things happen so that certain things can happen. You don't even realize it. We don't know. I mean, there's so many things I don't know, but some things are just obvious. So that's something I want you guys to pay attention to. Just if you can see, like if you can go about your day and you can start to notice little things like that. I could use examples, like an example. Shaming tactics is basically the biggest one. I don't know if you've ever noticed. Have you ever tried to come out of your box? Have you ever tried to say, you know what, I want to step out of my box, what I'm used to, and maybe explore a little bit more? People don't go, give me a high five, bro. Let's keep it going. You and me, actually. How about that? You and me, we can both step out of our boxes. We can help each other. This doesn't happen, right? What happens most of the time? You start to come out of your box, the people around you notice, and they try to stuff you right back in your box. They don't want to see you grow. They don't want to see you become free, because they're not free. They're not free. And they try to just shame everybody back into their boxes. You know, like anything that you want to do, you know, if you're afraid to do something the way you want to do it because you're worried about how society is going to judge you on it, that's how they got you. That's how they got us. I'm not perfect. You know, I'm still growing. I don't feel like I'm at a level yet where it's like I'm completely unhinged from, you know, the societal pressures and them trying to shame me. But it almost seems like the more that I notice it, the more I realize it's like the less that I care. The less that I care about these people around me. In fact, that's why I'm moving to the city. I hate this town that I live in because I realize Anybody who lives in a town, this is a general statement. Doesn't mean everybody. You have like maybe some elderly people, some people who've retired. Maybe you got people who are seriously just settled down and they used to, they had tons of fun before in their life and they just decided, it's time for me to settle down a little bit. I mean, there's always exceptions for people wanting to live in a town because it offers this for their family benefits. It's an easier life for them to raise a family in and stuff like that. But if you really pay attention to people that live in towns, most of them are unhappy. Most of them aren't doing anything real with their life besides working, paying their bills, and living some. Mostly people that live in towns, they're afraid to do new things. They're afraid. Basically, people in towns are not the people that you need if you're trying to get out of your box. Because, like, whatever I'm talking about is so much stronger in a town because that's like what a town is notorious for. In America, at least, this doesn't apply for the rest of the world. It's not like that in the rest of the world. It's not like, you go to some country in South America and just because you're in some smaller town, it's like they all want to shame you. You could be an outsider and they're like, oh, cool, an outsider. Come share your culture with me. We can share our culture with you. This doesn't exist exactly the same everywhere. This is really a huge, like, American issue. Not just America, there's other countries that kind of all fall under the same system that they're implementing. And it doesn't mean it doesn't exist in South America and Europe and other countries too. It just means it exists less. They're really trying to implement everything everywhere. So, and again, I don't know if I can necessarily be mad at the elites, people on top, because maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they're like, look, we can't give all these people power because if everybody had all the power, there'd be people who abuse it and then there wouldn't be society left. So I don't know, maybe in the elites up top there's bad people and there's good people. And maybe the good people can't really stop the bad people because maybe they know things that we don't know, that they know so like in-depth secrets that there's a reason why maybe they're in control. And they have to run things a certain way for things to work. But at the same time, it might not be completely like that. But at the same time, we're all alive. So it's not like they all want to end us. If they didn't really want to deal with us, we wouldn't be here. So another thing is they harbor our negative energy, our misery, our suffering. They harbor those energies. That's another reason why the system is the way it is. That's why a lot of times maybe when you wake up, you already feel like everything's always against you. You already have the mentality. And that's because they want people to suffer. So if you're ever going to not let this affect you, you have to realize it's in here. You're going to have to be stronger than everybody else around you. You're going to have to be. Maybe you can try to find some sort of comfort and solace in some sort of like mediocre life. And you know what? Most people prefer that. Most people prefer that mediocre life that they can just coast through and not have to confront anything. And why do you think if you present them with something like, hey, I've been thinking about this, or I'm tired of this in my life, why do you think they're not gonna be like, oh yeah, hey man, me too, maybe we should start fucking doing something about it? Or at least, you know what, I hope you go and you give it your all. No, why don't they do that? They don't have that mentality. They prefer mediocrity. And if you're going to be their friend, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, man, go off and be somebody great. No, because they don't want to lose you. So I'm going to end this video because I could just probably go on and on. But it's just basically about the loops that we're stuck in. There are our own paradigm shifts that are wrong. Like if you're having trouble in your love life, if you're having trouble economically, if you're having trouble in your drive and your drive for your passion and your goals, if you're having problems with anything, mostly it's just going to be because of how they put us in loops that we're not aware of. You know, you're not going to have that thing that you're miserable over because you have two opposite opinions. You don't even most people are broken right down the middle. Most people are broken right down the middle. They don't even realize that they believe both sides of it. You know, it's kind of like I was having a conversation with my dad a few minutes ago. I know I said I was going to end it, but there's something I want to say. It's kind of like when I was having a conversation with my father a few months ago, and we were kind of like arguing a little bit. But he goes, you know, in one place he goes, I was smart. I was smart because I did this and I did that, you know, with money and stuff. But then a little bit later on, he goes, but I wasn't that smart, you know, because he ended up losing a few of his homes because he wasn't managing his money right. And I said, which one is it? Were you smart or were you not smart? That's how it is. If you're miserable in something, it's most likely because you don't even realize you have alternating, like, opposite beliefs. That's how they split us apart. So anyways, I could go on about that. I honestly believe the Bible does that too, because a lot of places in the Bible will say, you know, go and do this, and it's okay to do this. But then in other parts of the Bible will go right in the opposite and say, you know, you're evil and you're going to go to hell if you think like that or if you do that. But it just said it's okay to do that. But then another part it says it's the opposite. They do these things to split us down the middle. A lot of us are split right down the middle. That's why do you think people fight themselves in their own head? That's how they beat you guys. That's how they beat us. They get us split in our own minds. It's like we're two opposite people. You have one side of you that believes this one thing, and then you don't even realize it, but you got this other side of you that actually believes the opposite. And then you don't even realize it. And that's how they got us. Alrighty, guys. I don't know what else to say. Later.